let me just go over this story about this report, because I hope to God this gets some attention. Because you should know the statute of limitations on torture is starting. We are very close to it running out. And I think it's almost impossible to imagine that Eric Holder would bring any charges or begin any investigation. But it's also impossible to imagine that if this report and their calls to have the Senate intelligence report on torture declassified, or at least parts of it declassified, get enough attention that the Department of Justice won't at least have to address this. That's also equally implausible. New York Times reports a nonpartisan independent review of interrogation and detention programs in the years after September 11, 2001. Terrorist attacks concludes that it's, quote, it is indisputable that the United States engaged in the practice of torture, that the nation's highest officials bore ultimate responsibility for it. It's a 577-page report that says while brutality has occurred in every American war, there has never before had been, quote, the kind of considered and detailed discussions that occurred after 9/11 directly involving a president and his top advisors on the wisdom, propriety, and legality of inflicting pain and torment on some detainees in our custody. End quote. It's an 11-member panel convened by the Constitution Project, a legal research and advocacy group. It was led by two former members of Congress, a Republican, Asa Hutchinson, a Democrat, James R. Jones, who I guess was also a former ambassador to Mexico. They seek to produce a stronger national consensus on the torture question. It did not have access to classified records. This is distinct from the 6,000-page report on the CIA's record by the Senate Intelligence Committee. It confirms a report by the Human Rights Watch that one or more Libyan militants were waterboarded by the CIA, challenging the assertion, and the long-time assertion, I would say, by the CIA, that the only three people to be waterboarded were three al-Qaeda prisoners, alleged al-Qaeda prisoners. It includes a detailed account by Albert Shimkus, Jr., the Navy captain who then ran a hospital for detainees at Guantanamo Bay Prison, of his own disillusionment when he discovered how prisoners were being treated there. The CIA not only waterboarded prisoners, but slammed them into walls, chained them in an uncomfortable position for hours, stripped them of clothing, and kept them awake for days on end. Mr. Hutchinson, who served in the Bush administration as chief of the Drug Enforcement Administration and undersecretary of the Department of Homeland Security, said he, quote, took convincing on the torture issue. But after the panel's nearly 2 years of research, he said he had no doubts about what the United States did. Quote, this has not been an easy inquiry for me because I know many of the players. But I think we learn from history. It's incredibly important to have an accurate account, not just of what happened, but how decisions were made. The panel found the United States violated its international legal obligations by engineering enforced disappearances and secret detentions. It questions the recidivism figures published by the CIA for Guantanamo detainees who've been released, saying they conflict with independent reviews. It describes in detail the ethical compromise of government lawyers who offered, quote, acrobatic advice to justify brutal interrogations and medical professionals who helped direct and monitor them. It reveals an internal debate in the International Committee of the Red Cross over whether the organization should speak publicly about American abuses, and apparently those who advocated going public lost the fight, delaying the exposure for months. Jones said, quote, "I had not recognized the depths of torture in some cases. We lost our compass." It mainly covers the Bush years, but it did say, but it was critical of the Obama administration policies specifically around secrecy by shielding the public from the details of rendition and torture, and say that it cannot be continued to be justified on the basis of national security. I don't know if this will get more play. We will hopefully we will be talking about it more in the future. You cannot let these things fester. You cannot avoid accountability for these things and not expect them to come back and get worse. You simply can't. And hopefully, as this investigation goes on as to who committed these attacks, the press will find some hook to talk about this report on just how, to quote one of the authors or one of the chairs of this commission, we lost our compass following the last attack. Because we have by no means righted or fixed that moral compass. No way. Not even close.